All right, it is 5:30 p.m. and we're going to call this workshop session of the Lewisville City Council to order. We do have a quorum, just barely. Microphones are live, so everything is said and done in here is recorded. Let's see here. First up, we're going to go ahead and take a look at consent and regular agenda. We do have a small presentation during this review, so I'll ask Marichelle to come up for item number G5. So as we go through the agenda here, we've got two workshop pieces. One on the 2035 update, one on the Green Centerpiece Master Strategy. We've got the invocation with Councilmember Green. We've got the pledge to the flags, Councilmember Kelly. We've got 3 proclamations and a presentation for the Parks team. Item E1, public hearing. Special use permit for communications antenna. Questions on that one? Consent agenda, approval of the minutes. Consent agenda, approval of a bid award for East College Street improvements.
I just had a question. When does that one start? When are we planning for it to start?
Probably, most likely after the first of the year.
Okay.
You know, at this point, we would want to start in December during the holidays.
No. No, I am not.
It's on the mic. Next up, approval of bid awards for construction of the Hebron Parkway screening trail and landscape improvements. Item 5, approval of a first amended and restated economic development and utility participation agreement between the city and Old Town Lewisville Tenant 1 LP and Old Town Lewisville Tenant 2 LP. Marichelle.
Thank you. So I just wanted to do a quick presentation just to talk about the infrastructure needs necessary for the east side of Old Town, and then we'll go into a little bit of what the original agreement said regarding the terms for the sewer and for detention, and then what this First Amendment does as it relates to those two topics. So we'll be short and sweet. But first I'm going to hand it over to David to go over this slide.
Okay, obviously we've had some changes, and you know, historically these properties bounded by Business 121, Valley Ridge, Main Street have not had utility services. There are several septic systems out there, and in fact, there are several properties that are on a private lift station, which has been problematic over the years of maintenance. I know code enforcement people have had to become involved with that a couple of times because the people that are out there really don't know how to maintain it. So periodically that's been a problem. Storm system underneath College Street is undersized and also under Valley Ridge. So that's been problematic over the years. In fact, we've had flooding out there a couple of times with some of the heavier rains we've had. And we do have an existing detention pond out there, but it is only sized for the DCTA property. So to make a long story short, we do have a lot of issues out there with the sewer. The water's fine, but the sewer infrastructure, the drainage are both woefully undersized under the proposed development.
I have a quick question. Are we assuming like the fully developed state of like the DCTA property?
Yes.
Where that's being coordinated with?
Yes.
So are you about to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
So the original agreement with Old Town Lewisville Tenant 1 and 2, which is Ohala, it did identify that there would be a need for increased sewer capacity and that the detention would also be an issue. But we didn't have a lot of information at the time. So the original agreement, as it relates to sewer, said that the city would contribute 100% of, we reimburse 100% of the oversizing costs. It didn't have a dollar amount because we didn't know what that was at that time. And then for the sewer line extension, it just said that if the city's parameters included that a sewer line extension was necessary, that we would basically figure it out later, and we'd enter into a separate agreement, but it didn't have any details. And as it relates to detention, it just stated that the city and developer would collaborate in identifying a regional detention solution. So pretty loose in terms of what we knew at the time.
Just so you know, water is fine in all of these areas, it's just sewer and regional detention.
So in between, we did a study, so we worked with public services and engineering, and we did a study of the area and identified that both sewer extension and oversizing were necessary. So this was about, give or take, a year and a half ago, and at the time, we'd come up with a number between OHAL and the city, and we said, it's gonna be $2 million for the oversizing and extension. So we were working on bringing this agreement back to you all, but there still had to be some other things that were figured out, so it took a little time to get there. So between the time that we got the initial quote and now, it's gone from $2 million to $4.3 million.
Of course.
So, which a lot of people were not surprised about that. I was a little bit. But, so what this amendment actually does, it keeps our contribution at $2 million, what we had agreed with OHALA a year and a half ago when we did the study. And OHALA is actually going to be absorbing the rest of that cost. They've agreed to invest basically another $2 million into the sewer expansion that's needed, not just for their property, but for the entire east side of Old Town. So under the initial agreement, as it stands today, again, it says that we would reimburse 100% of the oversizing costs, and that right now is $3.1 million. So we're actually reducing what our contribution would have been otherwise.
Marshall,
Yes.
who owns the property right to the right of that?
Here?
No,
Right to the
we know
right,
who owns that one.
Here?
down.
With the trees.
Yes.
Yes. That's the, gosh, can't remember, the Saddlebrook. It's the Tatums own that property. So this is just a map that identifies the properties that are going to benefit from the sewer expansion and extension. You can see that the DCTA property is not incorporated into this because they do not need sewer. They have access to sewer, but the improvements are going to serve this rest of this area highlighted here. And for detention, so we're still early in the stages of things. We've identified that we need to purchase approximately 2 acres in this area. And the developer, OHALA, has also graciously agreed to help us in the design of that as well. So their engineers are working with ours to figure that out, and they're going to help us going forward with next steps on the detention. But whatever happens with that, we would bring it back to you all because, again, kind of like when we brought the sewer to you initially, a lot is unknown and still left to be done.
But we are considering DCTAs
Yes.
as part of that.
Yes, yes. So this, actually, my next slide, here you go. So these are the properties that will benefit from the regional detention. So obviously, OHALA needs it for their development, but DCTA needs it and all the other properties around it. For development to occur, for redevelopment to occur, this is necessary. That was it. Do you guys have any other questions?
Thank you.
Item 6, approval of professional services agreement with Weaver and Tidwell for audit services. Number 7, ratification of the amendment to the extension to the concession agreement between LJH Limited and the City of Lewisville. Item 8, approval of revised policy statement 3.0 finance, section 5. Purchasing to update language, raise the dollar threshold for approvals by the city council, and delegate approval authority to the city manager, for the city manager.
So the way that this is written, it says that it would go up to 100,000 or more. Is that the language that is used?
Mhm.
The 100,000 or more?
Yeah, so
So where's the or more, where does that go to?
So if it's 100,000 or more, it would require us to go to city council.
Oh, I see. I thought it was giving her approval to sign up to 100,000 or more.
That would be
That's-
awesome.
Makes a difference.
I already,
That's more tiramisu.
yeah, all right, okay, all
I would
right.
like to make that an.
I don't know, it's really early this morning when I read that, so I read that completely wrong, I
Yeah,
apologize.
it's a ceiling, not a floor.
Yeah, thank you.
Item 9, revised policy statement 2.0, human resources, section 4, employee performance. Item 10, resolution of the city of Lewisville, Texas regarding Encore electric delivery. It's a rate case,
Those rate cases.
which we had at our workshop last time. Item 11, tabled item, consideration of an alternative standard associated with exterior lighting for Vistara Sports outdoor courts. We have some recommendations there.
Staff looked at other types of sports courts, and they all kind of fall in that 50 to 55 foot candles. We did add a second page. The applicant clarified that they're requesting the 53-foot candles for this area for the use of sports courts or sports fields, because they do offer a variety of different sporting activities at their business. And so we wanted to allow that flexibility for them to operate. So if the council so desires, you can just approve the, in the motion, approve the alternative standards as set forth in the caption above, as long as the area is used for, the exterior lighting is used for sport courts or sports fields.
Perfect.
If you want to clarify that,
So we need to clarify that in the motion.
part of the motion.
Or leave it as it is.
Or leave it as it is, because we did attach that to their
So you did
request.
put it in the caption.
But yeah, it's in the alternative standard is set forth in the caption, so it is, yeah, it is there.
Okay.
Wait, can you repeat that? So you
Well,
repeat
there's an attachment to the applicant's request that clarifies
That is just for sports courts.
for sports courts.
You
or
even have
sports-
to add that condition.
But you can
your
add it to the
motion.
motion.
Got it.
But we don't
So-
have to.
No, if you don't have to, then there will be no alternative standard and they must meet.
Yeah, but the language here is to approve the alternative standard, so we're okay if we use this language.
If you use that language, then they cannot go to you have to add the condition.
Yeah,
The alternative standard is.
So we do have to
50
add the
foot,
condition.
right?
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to add the
think-
condition
yes.
because you want to limit it to a sport court or a sport field.
Got it.
Can we get that written in there? So we don't
Yeah.
forget?
Can we-
You want to write it out.
I'd appreciate it. I don't have a problem with the higher light if it stays with that, but then what if they turn it into a beer garden sometime? I just,
A change of use would require a new engineering site plan, and
Sure.
then they would have to meet the current standards, which would not allow the higher intensity. So we have protections in place.
okay, so that keeps that, okay.
The city secretary just advised it'll be in the suggested motion.
It's already in there? Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
That is wonderful.
And just for clarity, Richard, there's nobody from the housing over there that has come forth and said it's a problem for them.
We have not received any issues.
I realize it doesn't cast that far, but it'll still look like a little moon to them.
Which, it hadn't been constructed yet. It's, right now, staff's working with them to complete their engineering site plan, and that's when we discovered the ordinance had some limitations.
Thank you.
But we're not expecting any issues with the measures that we have in our lighting ordinance, in the UDC.
Thank you. Item 12, consideration of nomination of Councilmember Patrick Kelly to the North Central Texas Council of Governments Regional Emergency Preparedness Planning Council, also known as the EPPC, and consideration of nomination of Mayor Pro Tem Ronnie Cade as alternative representative.
I think we can do better for the primary representative.
One more time?
We can
Me
do
too.
better for the primary representative.
We probably could.
I agree.
But nobody else wants, I'll take it.
Yeah. Very good. I have Chief Warrow with a report on the trunk or treat. And then, do we have any closed session? I'm unaware of any. Super. With that, that, we can go ahead and move on into the Lewisville 2035 Big Issues Update.
Good evening, Mayor Gilmore and council members. As you know, the 2035 plan is well underway and is going along extremely well. So tonight, to give you an update, we have Wendy Bonneau from Friesen Nichols, and she's going to give you a complete update on where we are at this point. Wendy?
All right. Thanks, Richard. Thank you. Thank you all for being my favorite client. I never have to think about what I'm wearing to any meeting. I do want to give a shout out to staff and Michelle Berry in particular for being kind of our day-to-day person. Claire, the entire city management team, all the folks here have been super, super helpful as we go through this. So certainly appreciate that. Tonight I want to give a quick update on what's the process update, what have we been doing, talk about our big issues phase. We're closing that out. We've heard a lot of comments, and so I want to give y'all a snapshot into what are some of the things that we're hearing. Go through our engagement efforts just so you know what we're doing, and then we'll be talking a little bit about moving into the next phase. So we are here. This is our roadmap. There are 6 points to this. We started with project initiation in the spring. All through the summer and the first part of this fall, we've done big issues. So we've just concluded that, and we're moving into what we call the big ideas phase. So we'll do that, then we'll come to the big moves, big achievement, and we hope to have this adopted by this time next year. So work phase recap. So we've been working on what we call big issues, and those are just things that we're hearing from the public, things that we need to look at, things that we need to identify. We've had a real big emphasis on just sharing the process, sharing what this plan is all about, why it's important to the city, and then we've launched a lot of different engagement efforts. You're gonna hear about a lot of those of what we've done. So. In the background, those are the things that have been public facing, but in the background, the things that the Friesen Nichols team is working on is we've been looking at just the overall planning framework from the last vision plan, looking at emerging trends that we're all dealing with that we need to be taking into effect, looking at demographic data, looking at your land use, physical framework, and community resilience assessment. So those are things that we're working on. When we started this, we put together an engagement toolbox. It really had 4 pieces: neighborhood outreach, public workshops, subcommittees and committees, and then virtual engagement. I am pleased to tell you that from what we've done so far early on, we've had 4,826 touch points. So when we say touch points, that means people that we've engaged with. So over 4,000 people that we have talked with. Now, yes, somebody might have been at 2 different events, might have been the same person, but that's how much we've engaged so far. So we feel really, really good about that and excited about that. So some of those things that we've done, we did a lot of community engagement events and different tabling, Fiesta Chara, Sounds of Lewisville, Lewisville on Wheels, First Friday, Castle Hills, Parking Day, Western Day, Neighborhood Night Out. We've been at all of those events. We've met with about 783 people during those events. We've also had youth engagements. We've been at several back to school, meet the teacher, football games, and and different things going on there. We've had about 457 touch points at those various events. City staff, as I mentioned, they've been awesome. They're also hosting their own engagements and doing their own different types of meetings. So they've done a lot of direct outreach with faith-based organizations, youth sports, HOAs, small businesses, developers, art groups, nonprofits, apartments and city staff, just internal groups. So we've met with about 728 people during that. And then we also had online engagement, and that's the project website and social media outreach. So 22 touch points as of the end of the month. So we're getting really good engagement on the website. And we have closed the survey part of this, but the website is still available. So the pinpoint map where you can pick points on that, and also the comment board, those are still active. So we very much are encouraging people to go to this website and look at it throughout. And then we've also had Somos Lewisville, where we've really tried to target specific Hispanic populations and get into those neighborhoods. We've done a lot of outreach at various shopping centers. This is one of the things that Rio's Planning has been working on. So they've had about 300 touch points during that. We're also about to alter this and expand this a little bit further in what we're calling connectando. So if you hear that term, that is specifically reaching out on social media and some social platforms, again, targeted to reach our hard to reach and some of our Hispanic populations. So they're doing a lot of outreach on that you're going to be seeing. So twice a month we'll be having we'll be going live and sharing some information on that. Again, just to let people know what's going on, try to get them pointed to the website and what we're doing. And then we have this fabulous group of people. We've been doing a lot of boots on the ground, but the steering committee is really about to pick up on some of their work, taking all the feedback that we've heard so far, really digesting that, adding their own comments and feedback to that. They've got homework to do, so these guys are working hard, and we'll be working hard over the next month or two, so shout out to all of those. Just a quick reminder, I think you all know this, but each of those, we have 8 different committees, subcommittees that are working on that. They've got committees for Natural Lewisville, Growing Lewisville, Connected Lewisville, Safe Lewisville, Engaged Lewisville, Livable Lewisville, Playful Lewisville, and Innovative Lewisville. So each of them will be taking the comments that kind of fall within those buckets and looking at that. So again, shout out to all of our committee chairs and subcommittees that are working on that. In addition, we had a staff vision workshop. That was the same day of our first community meeting, where we had a lot of staff that was engaged in that. They did workshops throughout the day. And so we had about 101 touch points at the staff vision workshop. And then we also had a large community workshop, and we had about 120 touch points there. So that was a great event. We had 3 speakers, topical stations, a community art project. I mean, had a lot of different things going on that evening, and I thought it was a great way. While we didn't have as many people as I would have loved to have seen there, the data that we got was very robust. We had well over 1,000 different comments. So these are what we call data points, not to be confused with the touch points. These were all the different comments. So in each of these areas, we had a lot of feedback and comments to go through for each of those. Plus, we had a lot of good education as a part of that. We had 3 speakers. The news picked this up. KERA did a great story. We had some great comments on Facebook that this was just a good educational time for people to come and just kind of put this into context of why is this important. So that's a big picture of all the things we've done. So what is that telling us so far? So these are some of the preliminary issues identified. Again, we've taken all of the feedback that we've gotten and we put those into the 8 buckets, because that's really what we want our subcommittee to dive into and flesh out a little bit further and continue to add to that. So I won't go through every bit of this, but I do want y'all to kind of get the snapshot of some of the issues that we've heard. So pertaining to Natural Lewisville, when we're talking about environment, sustainability, resilience, some of the key things that we heard: protecting and expanding our natural assets, building resilience into the infrastructure and the energy, and preparing for those emergency outages and what have you, preparing for climate and weather-related events, For growing Lewisville, some of the key things that we've heard, revitalizing corridors and aging centers. I think that's probably one of the things that we've heard a lot about between Business 121, Vista Ridge Mall, and some of our underutilized retail areas. A lot of comments on supporting job growth and small businesses within the city, balancing growth and housing options. Living has become less affordable. I think that's, across the board, and certainly in all of our major cities and within Texas. And so looking at that and what we can do to address that, and just investing in the next generation as it pertains to school and job opportunities and local businesses. Key things that we've heard for connected Lewisville: improve safety along some of our regional thoroughfares, expanding walkability and safe connections to local destinations, retaining free and accessible thoroughfares for existing and future residents, and the growing strain of just on existing infrastructure. Again, a key theme that we heard in some of these key areas. As it pertains to safe Lewisville, improving public security and community perception, preparing for climate-related issues, and you'll see a couple of these things, they've got a star because there are some crossover between committees, and depending on the detail, we'll figure out where exactly that needs to fall. Enhancing mental health services, engaged Lewisville, preserving and celebrating Lewisville's sense of identity, strengthening community engagement, cultivating identities, destinations, amenities, and emphasizing quality of life, safety, and inclusion. On livable Lewisville, enhancing everyday amenities in retail, emphasizing beauty, livability, and quality, balancing growth and housing options, and then again, affordability. It's coming up everywhere right now. And then playful Lewisville, improve access to Lewisville Lake and water features, expanding arts, culture, and recreation opportunities, providing exciting places to meet, engage, and play. And then lastly, innovative Lewisville, future-proofing through innovation and education, preparing for emerging technologies, and supporting and encouraging young professionals. So that was a very quick overview, but there is a lot of meaty content. I can certainly go into any detail, but before I talk about next steps, I just want to kind of pause and see, are there any questions or anything that we want to go back to and further explain?
Question, because this just jumped out at me. Were there concerns expressed that people were worried that we were going to start tolling our streets, or was that more related to like 35?
Yeah, I think it's more related to 35 and just some of the toll.
121,
yeah, 121,
yeah.
the toll roads, which
we don't have any control.
I know you don't. We don't have any control over it. But yeah, that was just a concern as we think about new roads. Think about that. So I think that's more probably a partnership comment.
I noticed that transit came up in one comment. How much are you seeing people talking about our public transportation? Is it on their radar?
It is in some places. I mean, there is some talk about that. Not a ton, I would say, but certainly enhancing, what we're doing in Old Town and the idea of that. Some good comments on that, but there are some. It wasn't one of the highest talked about things.
Yeah, I personally always feel like one tool that you have for affordable living is if you look at the whole picture. So I understand the cost of housing is going up, and so if we're able to provide, affordable, convenient public transportation, does that help offset some other costs for some other people? And so obviously that's things that we're working on as part of DCTA as well. I'm curious if if anyone else is seeing those correlations, or if we can start to kind of have that conversation to get people to, because I think the Go Zone has been a great success. as far as, you know, the number of rides that we're providing. And I'm hoping that that's making a difference in people's, you know, in their affordability, what they're spending versus what they would be spending on a personal vehicle.
Right.
So I'm hoping that we're making some headway and some difference there. I was curious if any of that was reflected in.
Yeah, and I think there were some good comments on Go Zone and things like that. So it is in there, and I think we can definitely flesh that out and you know, help make that connection for people of, yeah, this is a differentiator and some of the things that you have in the city of Lewisville that some of your neighboring cities may not have, you know, as access to. So it's a good point.
I have a quick question. Ray already had a hard job in front of them, and the political landscape over the past 6 months or so has not made that easier. Do they still have the resources they need to succeed? Do we need to revisit that?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, and that's, I don't know if I want to go flip back all through those, but that's exactly one of the things that we have had to pivot a little bit, to be honest. It has been, I mean, we have gone out, they've had a lot of in-person events and things. I think you are correct with the current climate. You know, people just associate city government and I think it has been a little bit of a challenge. So that is one of the things that we've spent a lot of time talking about internally. Kudos to them. They did some look at what are some other virtual or online outlets out there where we can get input that might be more anonymous, you know, and be able to do that. And so they found a couple of opportunities. And so this is an area that we're pivoting a little bit to see if we can get more engagement here. So Jennifer is 100% committed, you know, to continue to do that and to pivot. So
I just want to make sure we're already in for 50, and given what's going on here, if another 10 helps, I'd hate to lose all that effort just based on a few more dollars.
okay. Yeah.
That's all I'm asking about.
Okay, yeah, good to know.
From my understanding, it isn't like we aren't going to enough places, it's just that people aren't.
Right.
And
No, I
so
understand.
I don't know that spending more, I think this opportunity where they're switching to social media and really trying to get in more that way is exciting, and hopefully that will get us a lot more feedback. If not, then maybe we'll revisit and see what else we can do.
Yeah, I think right now we haven't really come across the issue of needing more resources, but I appreciate that offer if it gets to that.
What is
because
the
we're-
comparative touch points on this compared to the 2025 with the Hispanic community? Do we know?
I don't know it offhand.
Not specifically with the Hispanic community, but for 2025, the first time around, our goal was to double the touch points. So our goal was 8,000, so we've already hit the total number of touch points we did for 2025.
Actually, 2025, 10 years ago was like 2,000, and it was the 21 that was 4,000. And we wanted to double that, so we're well over halfway.
And we're just through the first phase. So, I mean, great.
Yeah,
we
we
made it
are.
So
very
this is,
concerted.
even though it's not, the number doesn't look that well, it's still, I dare say, probably more than it was last year.
Probably.
Based
yes.
on both the original and the 21 update, we've already far exceeded those touch points that we had with that community back then. So
Right.
we are making some strides. We're very happy for whatever connections that we can make. And I think we're gonna be making more now with this new platform. So we had to be creative and find ways to reach out and have a successful reach out.
Correct. Any other comments or questions? We are preparing, just so you all know, we've got all raw data that we're preparing and assembling, you know, as well as all the highlights that you just saw. That's what we're given to the committees. And then we've got all the raw data as well that we've assembled, and so we're pulling that back. I think the next thing that we're excited about is to take all that, our committees will be working on, our subcommittees, they'll be working on diving into the detail. We still have a few more touch points. We're going to be doing the holiday stroll. We've still got the online campaign. Like I said, the Conectado will be going on. So next phase of this is we're taking all those big issues. We'll be refining those a little bit. So again, if there's any comments on that, that's what the subcommittees will be fleshing out. We're moving into the big ideas phase. So taking all of those all that feedback and what do we do with it? What are some of the ideas that we need to come up with? And so that's really what we're working on next. The big thing that I want you all to know about is the community workshop number 2. That is going to be December 4th. And so that we're doing a few things coming up. We're going to be doing some podcasts and things to be able to get that out there and announce that. And that's where we'll be working on the big ideas at that December 4th workshop. So that's a big thing that I think you all could do for us, is just continue to share that out to your communities and let people know that we've gotten through phase 1. We'd love for them to join us at that next community workshop. And that's all I have.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank
Very
you.
exciting.
Thank you.
Item C, Green Centerpiece Master Strategy Update from our Director of Parks and Recreation. And Chris Chastain, our Preserve and Greenbelt Manager.
Thank you very much, Mayor, council members, park fans around the world. This is great that we had an update on 2035, because the Green Centerpiece Master Strategy was really born of the 2025 plan and really springboarded from there after the adoption. And as you know, Leela and much of the Green Centerpiece is owned or property of the United States Army Corps of Engineers. And so when, under the 2025 plan, we wanted to be more involved in the management and access to the Green Centerpiece and Leela, we worked with the Army Corps of Engineers, the Lewisville Independent School District, and the University of North Texas to gain access to Leela, become partners on that lease. And for each core property, they require a development plan. How are you going to be a steward of this property? And so the best way to address that was to work with all of the partners to create the master strategy for not only Leela, but all those other places identified in the Green Centerpiece. And how could we, once we kind of put our hands around what those places were, how do we extend the green out into the community? And this really was the strategy that helped platform that. It wasn't only about how we would take care of Leela, protect nature, assure access, how do we sustainably manage these places, how do we educate people around this asset, about this asset and how they could access it during recreational pursuits, and how does it become part of our Lewisville identity? And it really has become that. You know, the mayor and I are speaking at the Texas Municipal League Conference coming up next week about our pollinative prairie pursuits, and that wouldn't have happened without 2025, and then this strategy becoming how we operationalize that vision. It helps us also coordinate efforts between I guess what would be called bureaucratic beast in town, right? The federal government, a university, a school district, and all the various legislative and political issues that we have to deal with. This really serves as our backbone for that. It's been through several iterations. There was one that was initially adopted right after 2025 was adopted. We kind of got out of the gate and said, this is what we're going to do, and then we realized, whoa, there's a couple of minor changes we need to make. I think at one time we thought that we would be working with LISD to open up a nature center. That ended up not being feasible through the rules of engagement, so we kind of had to redo those. And then once we kind of got our legs under us and UNT kind of figured out what they were going to be doing and what their roles in the partnership was, we did a really big update in 2022. Remember, we met over there at Listola, had the board engaged, a lot of the higher ups at UNT coming through and recommitting And also, it takes a while that even once we get that update done, the Corps then has to look at it and give its check mark. So as we're rolling into 2025 and the vision, we're here, we look great for 100. It's time to reimagine what that Green Centerpiece master strategy can be and should be. And so we've been working over the last year with each of the partners, kind of retooling a lot of the action steps. And so tonight what we'd like to do is give you an update of the progress that we've made on the action steps that are the sole responsibility of the city, and then just kind of give you a little bit of an overview of where we're going. Shortly after all the fun and games we're going to have out in the chambers, I'm going to go over LISD is presenting a same or similar presentation at their board tonight, so I'm going to go give support for that as they ramp up to have it adopted. The Corps, not the Corps, University of North Texas is in the midst of working it up through their provost and president to get their check mark too. So hopefully by the end of the year, early 2026, we'll have a new updated Green Centerpiece master strategy. And Chris Chastain, who is our Preserving Greenbelt manager, he is the team member who's responsible for making the majority of the operational issues come to fruition. So I'm going to hand it over to him because he deals with this on a daily basis.
Absolutely, thank you, Stacy. Welcome, and it's very exciting to share with all of you the work that we've been working on. I've been with the city 4 years now, so I've been lucky enough to be a part of that last update, going into this update, and had a direct hand in all the fun things we've been doing out there. So I feel very excited to share with you all tonight. So the first thing we want to discuss is the core lease at Leela and the renewal. In 2022, we were up for renewal, and luckily we were able to complete that in December of 2023. So this is one of those that gets to get checked off as completed. But moving forward, we of course want to maintain compliance. We have annual inspections, environmental, and some of the other regulations that we as the leaseholders are responsible for. So that's how we continue working on this specific piece and cooperate with our partners over at the Corps. Number 2 deals with volunteer management. So we want volunteers within the Green Centerpiece to feel they have a streamlined opportunity to come in and be a part of what we do. Historically, there was one way that you volunteered with UNT, and a whole different way you volunteered with the school district, and a whole different way you volunteered with us. And sometimes those obstacles can kind of make someone less excited about getting volunteered, about coming out to joining us, or even just sticking with one entity and not even exploring what other people are doing. So we want to have one kind of face that a volunteer can walk up and easily become a volunteer with any of our entities and do all the fun things we do, whether it's education or maintenance or outreach. We want to make it as easy as possible. So we're working on ways that we can have a one-stop shop within the Green Centerpiece, that when you show up, it's easy enough to sign up with UNT or the school district or the city. So we're all looking at how we make that happen, how we can point people in the right directions and make it feel easy and not cumbersome. We as a city are working on streamlining that process within our own volunteer management, and so we're going to cooperate hand in hand with the school district and UNT to make that process seamless for volunteers. Green Centerpiece programming, so we want to make sure that we have interactive programs that communicate an environmental message. So we want things to be fun, we want people to want to come back, but more importantly, we want to make sure that we have one central theme, that we're all telling the same story. And so that's how we work as partners to make that happen. Things that we've been able to accomplish is the launch of Nature on Wheels. This is our new vehicle we got as a previous action step, our Toyota Highlander. So that's really helping us ramp up that program. Before we were kind of piggybacking with Play Lewisville on Wheels, and now we can spread our own wings and fly on our own. And then we work with the school district, as mentioned, in expanding our programs. We want to make sure that what kids are learning in the classroom is being reinforced in the lessons and camps and things that they participate in at Leela. Eventually that can evolve into things like after-school care, where we're, again, using those after-school hours to drive the same messages home. We want to deploy our Now vehicle and continue to grow that program and figure out how we share those programs with Listola. The kids are bouncing back and forth from Listola to Leela to the classroom. We want them to have one seamless experience when it comes to interacting with nature. Collaboration and partnerships. So we have a lot of partners that we work with through the Green Centerpiece. There's those who are on the lease with us, but then all of those that we work with, such as Keep Lewisville Beautiful, our Park Alliance, the Texas Master Naturalists, the Friends of Leela, And so we have taken steps to make formal agreements with a lot of those groups. Keep Lewisville Beautiful, our Park Alliance, and Texas Master Naturalists, and Friends of Leela are all formal agreements we've been able to have adopted within the last 3 years. And then, of course, working with UNT, we've expanded that partnership through the Area Institute and found all new ways to work together, whether it's through undergraduate internships, research projects, working on our Natural Pathways program. We're always trying to think of new ways that we can really enforce some of the priorities that we've set for ourselves. And next we want to work on creating a marketing strategy document, which we'll talk about in more detail as a later action step. Prescribed burn management, this is one that the Corps takes a lead in as well, but we are partners in that. So this is how we handle prescribed burns in the area. Prescribed burns are very beneficial to ecological restoration. It's a way to manage prairie land without any kind of chemicals, herbicides, or mechanical equipment. This is how things were done historically before humans ever came and started to impact this land. Burns would come clear up invasive material and thatch and give all those native plants an opportunity to spring up. So we try to replicate that in a responsible way. And so we work closely with our friends in the fire department. And of course, UNT plays a role, and the Corps provides our oversight on all these things. We submit to them burn plans. We watch weather for good burn days. Our fire department team comes out and uses opportunities for training on wildland fires, and so it checks a lot of boxes off. We're getting those ecological benefits, but also getting some real training for some of our teams and staff and getting a lot of people involved. So we want to continue working on that, potentially expand that program, establish a manual beyond just simple SOPs, but a true manual and book, so that we continue to do this work in the same manner possible as generations come in and continue to take over for years to come. Now, the marketing plan that we mentioned. It's important that we have a cohesive marketing plan. We need to really define what audiences that we're targeting through specific media channels. Now, we say the Green Center piece is for everyone, so we want to bring everybody in, but you don't do that by just putting one message out for everyone to listen to. We really want to identify how to engage with people most effectively, whether that's through written word or digital media or face-to-face, and really have a plan so that we're, again, telling the same message just like we do in our educational programs about what the Green Center piece has for you, how nature can impact you, and get some of those engagement opportunities to invite people out, make them feel welcome. We want to appeal to someone who's been outdoors for the last 50 years of your life and climbed mountains and shouted from the mountaintops and all these things, as well as the person who may be coming out for the very first time, doesn't want to get bit by a mosquito. We want to be just as exciting of an opportunity for all those audiences. We want to be accessible, but you can't do that without a cohesive plan. So we're working with UNT. They have a great marketing program up there, from graphic designers to people who can do research studies on target audiences. So we're going to work cooperatively with them on establishing a marketing plan that really highlights the Green Center piece. And as far as what we've accomplished, we did have an overhaul to the website back in 2023. We have joined Instagram in 2024, and now we'll be heading into a more formal plan. Activities and events. So it's one of our goals to establish a year-round calendar of exciting activities and events to keep people engaged year-round. Some of the things that we've added to our calendar since the last iteration of this plan are we added the Leela Open House event, which just celebrated its second year in attendance. We had nearly 500 people join us this year, so it's been very successful for us. We've expanded our night hike programs, which we found have been very exciting. Nighttime is typically not a time that people go hiking. You go in the daytime, so having that opportunity to see nature at night is a whole new experience. And of course, being in Texas, very hot during the day, not as hot at night. So we have found those to be very appealing for a manner of different reasons. And then expanding now outreach, getting nature on wheels. So as far as next steps, we want to continue listening to our audiences, listening to people about where those gaps for engagement lie, and then coming up with fun activities and events to meet those and get people involved. Environmental public art. The Green Center piece is a great opportunity to install public art and get people involved in art and observing it and appreciating it. Some pieces that we've worked on in the last 3 years are our Leela murals. There's an image of one down here. So if you visited our 4 portable buildings that we currently use as offices, each received a mural from UNT's art program. They're about 3 years old now, and they're holding up extremely well. They still look crisp and sharp, and we get lots of compliments on them. They each have their own theme with nature, so it's fun to look at each one a little bit differently and kind of tell the story for yourself. And then our piece of art, Hidden, which sits on the Blackjack Trail, was originally on lease to us from an artist at UNT, but we took steps and worked with Denise Helbing to make a purchase of that statue, so now it does belong to us, and will stay on Blackjack for years to come. If you don't know what Hidden is, it's a really cool wireframe statue that as you approach the trail, it kind of just looks like a jumble of wires, but then as you make that turn and hit it right from that angle, it turns into a bison. It's really, really neat. So I would invite you to come out, hike the Blackjack Trail, and come check out Hidden. So as we move into big projects such as the Nature Center, but then even as we do trail establishment and other opportunities, we're always seeking ways to find new opportunities to incorporate some public art. Our residential native planting and certification program. So I know I've been here before to talk about Roots for Wings. It's such a cool program. This was at the time that we last made this update, it didn't exist. It was just a thought. It was a cool idea. And now it's here. It's real. We're heading into our 4th year. So we have developed a program that helps residents learn about the benefits of native plants and gives them an avenue to establish some of these areas at their homes. As you see up here on the screen, we launched in 23, and we've had over 100 participants go through the program as of this date. As far as next steps, we are going to have our next workshop in March, and then also in the fall of 2026, we're going to be looking at adding that commercial branch to the program and invite business owners to come in and learn the same effective materials to establish native landscapes in front of their businesses and stores. Participant evaluation, so how do you know you're doing a good job besides just, hopefully seeing smiles on faces or talking to people? We want some data to really back this up. So we have established some procedures that we are now regularly collecting feedback from our participants post-program, post-events, finding out what their satisfaction was, how easy was it to find the facility, how would you rate the instructors, do you feel like you got good value for your money that you spent, all these kinds of things. We've been collecting that for over a year now. A lot of these procedures were set up as part of our accreditation process going through the CAPRA process, and so it's been 2 years, going on 3 now. So this data is really helping us inform some of these decisions now. As far as next steps, we want to continue to push that envelope and move into the learning base of what our participants are getting from our program. So really measuring learning objectives and where their level of knowledge is at the beginning of a program and where it is at the end, and start to tailor our programs based to maximize that learning potential in our programs. It's great that people are having fun. Now we want to make sure that they're going home with the message that we intended. Our Healthy Infrastructure Plan, another one of those that it's crazy to think about the last time this was updated. It wasn't a thing, and now it is. Healthy Infrastructure Plan is how we, Lewisville, use parks, trails, and urban tree canopy as infrastructure to increase quality of life for our residents. And so we had a goal to get it adopted, and it was adopted. What that means now is we stay committed to it. A lot of our action steps lie within this plan in Chapter 5, utilizing nature as the centerpiece. And so a lot of things that happen in the green centerpiece at Lake Park and Railroad and through our new green spaces as well as Leela apply directly to this plan. So we want to make sure that we as a team are working together to address some of the action items that have been lined out. Our sustainability plan, a lot of the same. So at the time, it had not been, it was right on the cusp of being adopted, and then it was adopted in 2021. It talks about how we operate as an agency and look at sustainability and how we view the work that we do through the lens of sustainability. And so things that we can change about our day-to-day operations to leave things a little bit better, be a little bit more responsible about how we're spending money, how we're using resources, how we're reusing resources, these kinds of things. And so we've been committed in following the action plan. As far as the next step, we're integrating sustainability into the 2035 vision. We, as members of the Green Centerpiece and partners, are happy to continue providing feedback, as was given in the last presentation, and helping inform what that looks like, and then being champions of that vision as it comes to adoption and we march towards 2035. Our Lake Park Master Plan, so we had an action item to develop and implement the Lake Park Master Plan, which again was completed. Plan was approved in December of 2024, and even beyond that, we renewed the lease out at Lake Park with the Corps of Engineers in April of 2025. And so some of the next steps directly related to that plan that will impact the Green Centerpiece are completing shoreline improvements out in the area we call Boat Ramp 2, making that a high water boat ramp and fixing some of that shoreline that goes around the point right there. And then phase 1 of the master plan is going to deal with the construction of the entry road and some of our day use and campground amenities, and that'll be the first step to get people excited about Lake Park. And so we're working with partners, Matthew Southwest and SunTex come in as the new marina operator to make sure that we're following the plan as adopted. Our interpretive plan in 2019, we worked with consultants to establish the Leland interpretive plan. We talked about our programs and the message that we want to provide to participants. This is what really lined that out. They came in, they looked at our ecosystems, they looked at what made Lewisville special, what made nature such a unique opportunity and experience in our community, and molded that into learning opportunities and learning themes and topics that we have integrated into our programs and into our interpretive signage that you find at Leela and throughout Lewisville. It recommended our updates to the website, and so we took suggestions directly from this plan and made sure that they were part of that website update. And the next phase of this is going to be implementations that we can put into our nature center as well. A facilities maintenance program, we want to make sure that we have a solid manual for how we manage facilities. We have all kinds of different facilities within the green centerpiece. There's athletic fields, there's aquatic recreation, we have historic cabins. As we mentioned, the nature center, which we'll talk about in more detail as we get to the action item related to it, we're going to have a nice nature center. We have wild green space. And so with this variety of facilities, how do we make sure that we're keeping our fingers on the pulse on maintaining them to a level that we expect of ourselves and that our residents and visitors expect of us as well? So we've been establishing SOPs in the interim. We are currently designing renovations to our log home. We've identified some places that we can reinforce the roofing and make sure that those structures are going to stand for years and years and years to come so that future generations can enjoy and learn from them as well. And then we are going to incorporate a lot of these maintenance principles into the considerations for our nature center design. And then beyond facilities is, of course, just the land itself and the resources. So setting a maintenance program for things related to recreation areas, our urban forest, trail systems, anything that we have within the park system, make sure that it's open and accessible and usable for people when they come out. You never want things to be down due to maintenance. And so how do we make sure that that's not the case? So again, we've established standard operating procedures related to trail building, trail maintenance, our pollinator pocket prairies, urban forestry, to make sure that we're handling all these things with consistency and keeping them available and looking crisp and sharp for our residents and visitors. We continue to evaluate those on an annual basis and continue to identify gaps where we need to establish new procedures as well, so it all lives in one cohesive manual. Capital investment, this is where we get into Nature Center. So the planning, funding, and improvement of infrastructure within the green centerpiece. We have a really big project going on now with the addition or renovation of the kayak launch at Leela. Historically, it's been very natural. We want to step it up and really have it accessible and inviting for people so that we can invite a whole new wave of kayakers to come out and kayak down the Elm Fork of the Trinity River. We're at 60% design right now, looking to get into construction next year and have that available as a brand new amenity for visitors out at Leela. And then, of course, we hired an urban forester recently who's going to help us manage that tree canopy, which is absolutely another piece of our capital infrastructure. These trees, as we learned from the Healthy Infrastructure Plan, have an overall value of $1 billion within Lewisville, and so making sure we take care of them is a top priority for us. Next steps, with the Nature Center itself, we have finalized the RFQ, we went out, got proposals, brought that down to 3 finalists. Last week, we were lucky enough to visit with those 3 finalists and do some information gathering for their teams. We kind of explained what our vision in a nature center was and what some of the things we discussed with partners in our charrettes and how we think this building can function. And they collected it all. They're going to take that back with their teams and put together some high-level concepts for us. They will come back to us in December and present those concepts. Based on those presentations, we will select 1 finalist who we then will get under contract to the actual design and construction of the Nature Center. So it's a very, very cool and unique process that we're doing. We think it's going to be very beneficial to go about it this way. The 3 finalists who present, they are under contract with us, so everything we receive in that presentations will belong to us. So even if we select one finalist, but someone else had something really neat, we'll be able to try and incorporate and implement any kinds of elements that we view in that. And so we're very excited about this Nature Center. We have our partners involved. UNT was in the room, LISD. All of our staff members were there, the Friends of Leela, and so this really is a community effort to make sure that we're providing the best product possible to meet the needs within this plan. Land acquisition development, so as land becomes available within the Green Centerpiece, we want to do our best to acquire that land when it makes sense for the city, and then once we do have it, how do we program it, how do we make it available, what kind of use do we want for it? And so we continue to look at those properties as they become available. We did acquire the Doobie properties and the Bennett Nature Park. So as we move into next steps, we of course had our FY26 action step approved. We're going to be going into those areas with our friends at IES, Integrated Environmental Solutions, to do assessments on those areas, find out what's out there, how much invasive material is there, what kinds of recreational activities maybe don't make sense, what's going to be the best use of it, and what kind of environmental work needs to be done beforehand to make sure that these areas are useful. Work with our friends in the Master Naturalists to do some interpretation. Is it signage? Is it mountain bike trails? We're at just the cusp of this space right now, but that's what this action item is all about, managing these properties well. And then we're winding down to the end, I promise. But Friends of Leela agreement. So historically, the Friends have been great partners for us, but they've also been kind of wild partners for us in the sense that we didn't have a formal agreement in place. And so there was always assumed understanding of what roles we all played, but we thought we wanted to codify that so that if everyone who's in their leadership and our leadership was, you fast forward 10 years from now, how do we make sure people still see what that intent was in the same way? And so we worked together. We had our memorandum of understanding approved in 2024. And so moving forward, we just want to uphold that agreement, and we can make updates as needed to make sure that this relationship continues to benefit all of us as well as people who come out to the Green Centerpiece. And much within the same vein is with the Texas Master Naturalists. And so we've had a great relationship with them. You can see here a lot of the projects that we've done together, interpretive signage within Old Town, out at Quarry Park, in Leela, as well as contributing to our environmental programming. They help lead Roots for Wings for us. They always provide us a volunteer for our Nature on Wheels outputs, and they help us lead homeschools, summer camps, these things at Leela. They come out and do maintenance. They have Tuesday Trail Crew. They have Monday Mayhem. They work in the greenhouse. It's fascinating. We couldn't do anything that we do without our partners in the Master Naturalists. But again, we wanted to make sure that for generations to come, that relationship is well defined and that it can continue to be successful. And so we did have a MOU approved with them in 2024 that we can continue to update as needed in years to come. So those are all the action items specifically tied with City of Lewisville teams. We just wanted to touch on some of the other action items that the other partners take lead on. So with the core, that's Lewisville Lake and Leela operations. Again, they manage the property, they own the property, and so they do the annual inspections with us as well as things that they identify throughout the year and work with us on making sure that any remediations that need to be taken of are handled responsibly. They manage the white-tailed deer population. One of the things that they do is the first weekend of December every year, they have a youth deer hunt out at Leela, and so we work with them on that to help make sure that that population is effectively managed, and they keep counts throughout the year and do those kinds of things. Fisheries management over there with LARP that sits on the property. Lots of fun projects in there. Prescribed burn management. So everything that we described on our part, the Corps is a partner in that and ultimately gives the approval at the end of the day for burns to take place. And then of course security and surveillance. The dam being such a highly sensitive object, it's the Corps' responsibility to make sure that the utmost respect for safety is being held at all times, and we are always good partners in that. To our chagrin when we have to close things down, but it's okay. We understand and we're here for it. That's what partners do. LISD, working on making those higher level 6 through 12 connections to real world research, finding opportunities for those upper grade students to get exposure to real world applications, potentially career fields, working with some of our partners at UNT to bridge that gap from 12 into higher education and going into fields like ecology and planning. And then on the K through 5 side is the Natural Science Mentorship Program, finding an extra way to just make that spark for nature and really get a child asking questions of why does the world work this way? And it all ties back to, like I said, is us doing our part of reinforcing the message that they're learning in the classroom, and they're planting the seeds from the start. UNT, looking for ways to enhance student research activities. They bring their ecology labs out on site. They have bird banding groups. They have internships that are funded that help support Leela. So really finding ways to get students involved in the property. The native plant nursery, which again sits at Leela, they're responsible for the greenhouse. They pull seeds from the land, they plant them in the greenhouse, and then they return them to the land. So everything is fed, grown, and replanted at Leela. Nothing comes from outside of the property, so it's a really fascinating approach. Creating coursework for Leela activities, so we find ways for students to contribute to Leela, but also get grades and credit for that work as part of their studies. The restoration plan implementation, the UNT takes the lead on that plan. Leela is broken up into 23 different ecological zones. It's beyond just trying to preserve nature and protect it. We're actively trying to restore it. We want to leave it in a better place than we even found it. We don't want to just keep it where it's at. We want it to be how it was before humans made their impact on the land. And that is what our restoration plan is all about. And UNT is the lead on that with assistance from the City of Lewisville and our maintenance teams. And then the Plantathon, which is very cool. So if you don't know, every 7th grader in LISD comes out to Leela every fall to go through a field trip and a day of lessons. Well, one fundraising opportunity they've introduced recently is a Plantathon. And so they ask all the students to raise money, and it's $1 per plant, and you'll go out and you'll plant as many plants as you can. And so the schools get to raise money for themselves that then they can feed back into their children's experience at school. But then we get a whole bunch of plants out at Leela, so it's win-win. And the numbers, I mean, they are usually putting in anywhere from 9,000 to 10,000 plants in a fall out at Leela, restoring the prairie that runs underneath the power lines and the utility lines out there on the property. So again, it was dreamed up 3 or 4 years ago, and it's been wildly successful on both sides.
So, I was going to say one thing about this is, you can go next one. So we'll be bringing back an approval for y'all at a future date for this. But obviously, you can have really, really good plans, but great people breathe life into them, right? And so obviously Chris is one of those people. And what's really, really neat is each of the partners are starting to make the commitment of bringing people just as dynamic as Chris is to the table to lead it. Dr. Jamie Baxter-Sly, if you'll remember at the beginning of this partnership, Ken Steigman was kind of the leader from the UNT standpoint. Well, Dr. Jamie Baxter-Sly has slid into that role, right, and is helping lead that. So there's someone just as passionate as Chris is on the UNT side, helping bring what Richard kind of knows out there to life and into a system that can work for us all. At LISD, not only is the superintendent involved, but Shelley Robinson over at LISD, who runs Lizdola, has been involved in this and comes to all of our meetings, was at the Nature Center thing. So that's really, really important for us because I think for a while it kind of felt we were dragging some things and there might have been some question about commitment from everybody on this. And I think we're finally at a point that we feel like there's a partnership going on and we've created through this plan and strategy some common vernacular and terminology so that we can speak to each other and understand what's going on. Once we get this through each of the partners, it'll take the Corps a while to check it, but they've been involved the whole way. And I think we also are communicating better with the Corps than we did at the onset of the first one. Any questions?
How could there be any questions with that much information? It was really No, I appreciate the update, Chris. I mean, it just goes to show the depth and span of what we've been doing in the last several years and how well we've done it. So, great job, guys. All right. With that, there's nothing further to be done here in workshop, so we will go ahead and take a breather and rejoin in the regular session at 7 p.m. Good evening. We're going to welcome everyone to this regular session of the Lewisville City Council. We do have a quorum, and it is 7 p.m. First up on tonight's agenda is the invocation by Councilmember Kristen Green.
Please rise. Join me for a moment of silent contemplation. Amen. Thank you.
Councilmember Kelly.
Please join me in the pledges to our flags. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Mayor, I'm sorry, I should have taken the 10 minutes that we had in breaks here, but I can't get signed in.
Ah, good
So
question.
if somebody could help me get signed in, appreciate that. There's no,
Is there not?
is that signed in? I can
There might be, like,
Sign in here? He can sign in.
sign in there?
Yeah. I'll be Lonnie.
You just wave red and green flags. Feel like a
Just
soccer.
You're in dangerous territory between Kristen and I. Yeah, how brave do you feel?
All right, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem. Bob, if you wouldn't mind joining me up here. And I think we have some fellow Rotarians. So, y'all, if you're wearing a cog, you come on down. And if you're not wearing a cog, but you claim one, come on down. I don't have my cog either, so it's okay.
And actually, any other Rotarians?
Do we have any other Rotarians in here? Anybody willing to claim that? All right. Well, we have a few proclamations to get through tonight, and the first one tonight is to recognize the End Polio Now week, and we'll start off with, whereas polio remains a severe and potentially deadly disease that continues to endanger children in parts of Asia, and whereas vaccination is crucial to prevent polio infection, and global education and immunization programs have significantly reduced the incidence of this disease, and whereas Rotarians from the Lewisville Morning and other area Rotary clubs have supported the fight to eradicate polio since 1985, through donations and participation in overseas immunization efforts. And whereas the Lewisville Morning Rotary and other Rotary clubs in the region are joining Rotarians worldwide to raise $50 million annually, matched 2-to-1 by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and will sponsor local activities during the week of October 19th through 25th, 2025, to educate the public, promote polio awareness, and raise funds for its eradication. Now, therefore, I, T.J. Gilmore, Mayor of the City of Lewisville, Texas, and on behalf of the Lewisville City Council, do hereby proclaim October 19th through 25th, 2025 as End Polio Now Week, and Thursday, October 24th, 2025 as End Polio Now Day in Lewisville, Texas, and urge all residents to join the Lewisville area Rotary clubs and their fellow residents in taking part in this special observance. If you would, Bob, you have any words to say?
Yes, I would just want to thank the city for making this proclamation every year. For those of you who may not know what polio is, if you are interested in learning something about it, we do have a display set up across the plaza at State 28. We will be there later on this evening to answer questions, take donations if you want to contribute to the 2-to-1 giving for Bill and Melinda Gates are doing. We'd be glad to take the contribution. So thank you again.
All right, let's thank the Rotarians. Yeah, I'm sure while we don't have much in the way of polio anymore in the United States, both my grandfather and my uncle were impacted by it. So it is right around the corner if we let it. All right, next up, I have a proclamation declaring October 28th, 2025 as First Responders Day. And I believe I have I don't know, is it a plethora? A gaggle of first responders? I don't know what you call it when it's a group of first responders. If you all mind joining me up here at the front. maybe it's a pride. It's a pride of first responders. I think sometimes we forget how comfortable and safe our lives really are. But that happens because we have an amazing group of people, many of them you see standing behind me, that show up first when it has to happen. In fact, I got a call, I think it was early this morning, talking about our water department, and there was a water main break on Garden Ridge and 407, going to be impacting people's commute this morning. And so they are up at dark 30, digging holes in the ground, dealing with big pieces of equipment to make sure that we can get a shower. I mean, so we have a pretty cush life thanks to a lot of the folks that work really, really hard and respond first to all sorts of challenges. So I have a few whereases here, so if you'll bear with me. Whereas first responders, including firefighters, police officers, emergency medical technicians, 911 operators, paramedics, public service professionals, animal services professionals, information technology professionals, and other emergency personnel stand on the front lines, selflessly serving and protecting the residents of the city of Lewisville. And whereas these men and women respond swiftly and courageously to emergencies, often placing themselves at risk to safeguard lives during natural disasters, accident, medical crises, and public safety threats, and whereas it is in the public interest for residents, leaders, and the youth of the city of Lewisville to recognize the vital role of first responders in protecting and strengthening our community, now therefore I, T.J. Gilmore, Mayor of the city of Lewisville, and on behalf of the Lewisville City Council, do hereby proclaim October 28th, 2025 as National First Responders Day in Lewisville, Texas, and encourage all residents to express their appreciation to first responders for their dedication, service, and lasting contributions to our community. Thank you, and let's give them all a hand. Is there anybody? Take the mic.
I will never turn down a chance to talk. So I do want to say one thing that's unique about Lewisville, and you look at this group and you see fire and police and public works and utilities all together, we operate as a team. I want to make sure and mention when public services has an emergency to respond to, our fire department and police department are always right there asking us how can they help. That's not a common thing in municipal government. It's one of the things that makes Lewisville unique. And this team is unique in the way we respond to emergencies, and that main break is still ongoing, Mayor. So or else our group would be just a little bit bigger.
Well, it hasn't hit my house yet, so I'm in good shape.
That's right.
All right, anybody else? All right, he got you covered. Thank you. Spotlight's on. Go home, see your family. All right. And our third proclamation for the day is for Unplug Texas Day. Now, please, for those of you who survived Winter Storm Uri, this has nothing to do with the power system. Whereas Unplugged Texas Day was created by the Texas Recreation and Park Society and adopted by the Texas Legislature through Senate Bill 2232, authored by Senator Adam Hinojosa and sponsored by Representative Ben Bumgardner, and whereas Unplugged Texas Day encourages residents to disconnect from digital devices and engage in outdoor play, recreation, and community activities offered by local parks and recreation agencies, and whereas on average, Americans spend over 7 hours per day in front of screens, contributing to rising rates of inactivity, poor mental health, and sleep disruption. And whereas research shows that time spent outdoors improves mental clarity, reduces stress, increases physical activity, and fosters strong community bonds. Now, therefore, I, T.J. Gilmore, Mayor of the City of Lewisville, do hereby proclaim October 21st, it's tomorrow, as Unplugged Texas Day in Lewisville, Texas, and encourage all residents to celebrate by unplugging from technology and plugging into our parks, trails, and recreation opportunities. And one of the most plugged in people I know here to speak about how to get unplugged.
All right, thanks, Mayor.
You're welcome.
All right, first of all, thank you, Mayor and Council and Park fans for this proclamation, but we also want to give a shout out to Representative Baumgartner, who carried this through the legislative body this session. It wasn't an easy session, and he picked up this mantle, and so we want to thank. It's kind of cool that we just talked about the green centerpiece, but that our representative carried this to make sure that from this point on, October 21st is Unplugged Texas Day. And we hope that not only will you maybe unplug a little bit, put down your cell phones, but get outdoors and enjoy not only the green centerpiece, but join us at Glory Park, or otherwise known as Parque La Gloria, over off of Southwest Parkway from 3:30 to 6. We'll be out there celebrating the day and connecting with residents rather than our cell phones.
Perfect. I don't know why I didn't get it either. Yeah, no, we rearrange. I can do that. I can do that. All right, we're going to take a couple of moments. We're going to hold off on item D and do a little rearrangement. Next item up on the agenda is item E1, public hearing. Public hearing, consideration of an ordinance of the Lewisville City Council amending the zoning ordinance by granting a special use permit for a communication antenna over 25 feet in height and a communication support structure on a 2.798 acre lot legally described as NEC 1171 and Valley Parkway Addition Phase 1, Lot 3R2B, Block B, located at 1093 West Main Street and Zone General Business District, providing for a savings clause, repeal or severability, penalty, and effective date, as requested by Ralph Wingarden with Falk and Foster on behalf of Hemphill LLC, the applicant, and TSCA-224LP, the property owner, case number 25-06-10-SUP. Hemphill LLC is proposing a 135-foot communication antenna and support structure on a vacant area behind an existing retail shopping center at the northeast corner of West Main Street, FM 1171 and Valley Parkway. The proposed antenna and support structure is needed to improve mobile phone signal coverage in the general area. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended unanimous approval 6-0 on September 16, 2025. It is recommended that the City Council approve the ordinances set forth in the caption above, and Richard Lutke, our Planning Director, is available for questions. A public hearing on this item is now open. Council, do we have any questions or comments for Mr. Lutke? City Secretary, I don't believe we have any public comment for this one either. Council, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Council, if you would please vote. Motion passes 4-0. The public hearing is now closed. Council, I'll entertain a motion about the ordinance.
Motion to approve the ordinance as set forth in the caption.
I've got Bob on this.
Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake.
No worries. No worries.
Move to approve the ordinance as set forth in the caption.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Council, if you'd please vote. Motion passes. All right. Item F, Visitors Forum. Speakers must address their comments to the mayor rather than an individual council member or staff. Speakers should speak clearly and state their name and address prior to beginning their remarks. Speakers will be allowed 5 minutes for testimony. Speakers making personal, impertinent, profane, or slanderous remarks may be removed from the meeting. Unauthorized remarks from the audience, stamping of feet, whistles, yells, clapping, and similar demonstrations will not be permitted. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the City Council is restricted from discussing or taking action on items not listed on the agenda. Action can only be taken at a future meeting. I do not have any comments for Visitors Forum, so we'll go ahead and move on. Consent agenda, item G. All the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be self-explanatory by the council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or a member of the public so request. For a member of the public to request removal of an item, a speaker card or e-comment must be filled out and submitted to the city secretary. I do have 2 public comments for item 5, so council, I'd need a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item 5.
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented with the exception of agenda item number 5.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Council, if you please vote. Consent agenda with the exception of item 5 has been approved. Item 5. Approval of a first amended and restated economic development utility participation agreement between the City of Lewisville, Old Town, Lewisville Tenant 1 LP and Old Town Lewisville Tenant 2 LP, and authorization for the city manager or her designee to execute the agreements. On December 18th, 2023, the City Council approved an economic development and utility participation agreement with Old Town Lewisville Tenant 1 LP and Old Town Lewisville Tenant 2 LP, the developer. The purpose of this agreement was to facilitate the construction of the standard at Old Town, a 2-phase 600-unit affordable multifamily housing project located at approximately 701 East Main Street. The project is owned by the Lewisville PFC and leased to the developer. Since the original agreement was executed, city staff and the developer have more specifically identified the needs for sanitary sewer capacity and a regional detention solution to support future development in Old Town. This new agreement makes several key changes. One, it establishes a not-to-exceed reimbursement amount of $2 million for utility costs, with an additional $350,000 available for potential price increases subject to city manager approval. While these costs were anticipated in the original agreement, the new agreement provides for more specific and sets a maximum amount. And 2, the developer will invest an additional $2 million. The project commencement deadlines for phase 1 and 2 have been extended due to easement negotiation delays, and the city will provide a $70,000 grant, a waiver of phase 2, and reimbursement of phase 1 engineering site plan fees estimated at $102,632. In consideration for additional investment in the project and acquisition of the easement necessary for construction, funding is available in the standard at Old Town Capital Project, general fund, and plan review fee paid to the city. It's recommended that the City Council approve the First Amendment restated agreement and authorize the city manager or designee to execute the agreement as set forth in the caption. So I do have for item, it's agenda item 5, yeah, so that's where I messed up. Yep. Where are we going?
They were here to speak on the open citizens thing regarding property.
Yeah, so, okay, so we'll have to flip that back. All right, fair enough. Regardless, that's been read and gone through. I don't have any comments for item 5 on the consent agenda. It was for the general comments area, so apologies on that. Council, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by voting. Or not. There we go. Item passes 4-0. We're going to go back to item G. No, we're not going back to item G. These need to be under Visitors Forum, item F. So we have, both of these are for item F for the Visitors Forum. Mr. Joe Arnold. Sir, you're welcome to state your name and address for the record and to speak on the topic that you wrote about.
Thank you very much. Good to see you again. Council members, thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name is Joe Arnold. I'm a Deputy Vice Chancellor for Texas State Technical College, and my address at home is 3370 Davis Road in Muldoon, Texas in Fayette County. I'd like to take just a couple of minutes to talk to you about Proposition 1. It's a constitutional amendment that is on the ballot coming up on November 4th. But before I do that, a little disclaimer. I'm a state employee, and I am forbidden by state law for advocating for or against a ballot measure before the voters of Texas. So what I will tell you tonight is simply the facts and the mechanics of what the amendment does. So during the legislative session a few months ago, the legislature approved a proposed amendment to go before the voters this fall that would create an endowment for TSTC. What the amendment states is that it will create 2 funds, the Texas Institution Infrastructure Fund, or the TIF, and the Available Workforce Education Fund. The TIF fund is the big fund. That's the fund that will be an investment account at the comptroller's office there in Austin. If the voters approve this measure on November 4th, the money will be transferred from general revenue. $850 million will be transferred from general revenue into the TIF fund. The comptroller will invest those monies, and on an annual basis, the principal that the TIF earns will be put into the Available Workforce and Education Fund. That's the fund that TSTC will then draw down from for capital projects. The money can only be spent for capital projects. It can only be spent to buy property, build buildings, renovate buildings, do infrastructure, and to buy equipment to train our students on. So if the voters do approve this, in about 18 months after January 1, TSTC will start receiving funds that they will be able to then plan on for capital projects that will help expand the footprint at our current locations, even including in Denton County. So that's it in a nutshell. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Council, any questions? Mr. Arnold, thank you. I appreciate it, and thank you for the updates and the details. I know that we've worked very closely with TSTC for the last couple of years, so really appreciate you guys and your investments in the community.
And we appreciate the support that you have shown us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And I do have, and I'm sorry, Rusty, I'm having a hard time making out a couple of letters here, so I've got you here for being available for questions on this. So Rusty's a volunteer. So,
absolutely. Thank
so,
you, Mayor. Well, hopefully you don't count off for spelling or my,
it's Vaughn.
my,
there we go.
printing.
I got it.
Vaughn, yeah. Rusty Vaughn, 13010 Lake Trail Drive in beautiful downtown Copper Canyon, Texas. But I am a owner of property in Lewisville as well. But I come as a friend and I come as a volunteer. I've chosen to redirect my life towards workforce development. We caught up the other day on that. And so I'm passionate about that. I've been really blessed in my career to do things I didn't think first possible. Tell Caleb I said hi, by the way. Small world. And but in any case, truly it's my time and turn to give back now, and I choose to do so in workforce development. In my 3.5-year commitment to doing that as a volunteer, again, I'm not here paid by anyone, but unlike Mr. Arnold, I'm a volunteer and independent, and I can profess my support for Prop 1. And I would urge all of you in the audience and those of you watching from home or whatever format or air streaming to please consider, early voting started today. I would urge you to consider voting for Prop 1. What's really important about this, it consists of no new taxes. They're simply taking existing state funds and corralling $850 million of that so that then the proceeds that generates will go for infrastructure for TSTC, Texas Technical College. I can assure you in my 3-year affiliation with them, they're outstanding. They deliver the goods. They're getting young people off the sofa and into trades and getting them out the workplace. And as an employer, I back down in my business that I own a part of, but I'm still gainfully involved in it. We desperately need employees, specifically air conditioning technicians, and believe you me when I tell you they're not out there. So this workforce development and workforce shortage is real. We need to deal with it. And TSTC, by virtue of Prop 1, and they're coming to Denton County, by the way, which is another shot in the arm for us as far as economic growth, because you cannot have economic growth if you don't have a workforce, a trained workforce. And TSTC will make certain that and help us perpetuate that in Denton County. So I'm open to any questions if you would have them, but thank you for your time. And thank you for a special shout out to Ms. Cade for pulling us together and making this happen. A longtime friend from back in my council days in Highland Village, but don't hold that against me.
Thank you, Rusty. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and backtrack to item D1, presentation of the National Gold Medal Award to Parks and Recreation. We have Ms. Carolyn McKnight, former president of the National Recreation and Park Association, to present our award.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I think I'll get someone to hold this for me. It is very heavy. Thank you all for the opportunity, Mayor Gilmore and members of the council, all of the senior staff and the staff who brought the gold home. A gold medal is a huge deal, and I'm wearing mine, so I am a gold medal recipient. But I wanted to let you know that I've worked in 2 gold medal agencies, and this is not something you take lightly. As a president of the NRPA board, as well as a former president of the American Academy of Parks and Recreation, this is a coveted award, and not many communities receive it. As a matter of fact, we have about 8,000 plus agencies around the country, and only about 200 plus agencies have received this award. Not just in this category, but it's a huge deal for a small community, because a small community have to do as much as a large community. You have to meet the same standards, whether it's accreditation or the actual things that they rate you. So I contacted the judge, the head judge, and I asked him, what set Lewisville apart from everyone else? And so I got a list of things, but I'll only read a few, because I think it's something that everyone should be proud of in this community. Because of the leadership of this team, this type of medal is something that you must know how important it is. It's a source of pride for every community. And when I started asking questions about it, he said that it's a medal that they're well deserving of it, but 84% of Lewisville residents live within a 10-minute walking distance from a park. The national average is 55%. Wow. That's huge. When you think about how flexible you were to bring in and accommodate a new community of Castle Hill, to welcome all of those new residents in, and to begin to build programs and develop facilities and parks, that's huge. Also, when you look at the innovative things that you guys did, such as how you took an old facility, an old aquatic facility, and created a splash pad serving thousands of more residents and users, and hopefully reducing the cost, because that's what splash pads do. Not only that, you were able to decrease screen time, and I thought this was the most creative of all. You guys have a mobile nature
on wheels.
On wheels. Amazing. So I'm excited. I get excited talking about these type of things, because I know that you guys are able to reach more kids with programs, more people with nature education, and all of the things that you're doing, from driving cultural activities and programs and exercising, different classes and things that you do. But this is huge. And when you go for a gold medal, it took me 5 times for us to win it in Baton Rouge. But we got it. But hopefully it didn't take you guys this long. 1 time. Huge. Let's give them a hand. Again, I don't know if we have a representative here with Musco Lighting, but the American Academy of Park and Recreation is the sponsoring agency for this program. But keep going. Keep doing what you're doing, Stacy. This is serious.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Karen, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Mayor, City Council, Park fans, I won't cry. This is truly a community award. Carolyn talked a little bit about what set us apart, but when we turned in our video, the difference between our video and the next was storytelling and featuring our residents who are our why. And I couldn't be happier to be a part of this community, but I really couldn't be more privileged to be a part of this City of Lewisville team. We joke that we're kind of like when you invite one of us, the whole crew comes. And that's not just the Parks Department, it's the Fire Department, the Planning Department, and Public Services. We couldn't do it without you, without the support of the City Council who makes policy. But, okay, I'll cry when I talk about this. This set of Parks and Recreation professionals in front of me breathe life into what our visions are. And I couldn't be more proud to be part of their team. So thank you all for everything that you do. You're golden.
You're going to get in there no matter what.
All right, we ready? Perfect.
Congratulations, team. Couldn't be more proud of y'all. You did a great job.
Or the lost and found. Or the lost and found.
It's really, really huge. So. All right, next up on the agenda, item H11, tabled item, consideration of an alternative standard associated with exterior lighting for Vistara Sports outdoor courts on an approximately 1.1 acre tract out of the H.H. Smith survey, abstract number 1576, located on the south side of West Vista Ridge Mall Drive, approximately 200 feet west of Highview Lane, zone light industrial district, as requested by Sabra Shah, P.E. of AARI Engineering, LLC, on behalf of Feather Smash, LLC, the property owner, case 2508-12 ALT STD. Vistara Sports is an existing indoor badminton facility which recently received special use permit approval for a commercial amusement outdoor use to allow the facility to expand with outdoor pickleball courts. The property owner is seeking an alternative standard to allow exterior lighting intensity up to 53-foot candles in lieu of the allowed 20-foot candles for a non-residential use. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended unanimous approval 7-0 on September 16th, 2025. The item was tabled at the October 6th, 2025 City Council meeting. It's recommended that the City Council approval of the alternative standards as set forth in the caption above. Richard Lutke, our Planning Director, is available for questions. Council, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the alternative standard as set forth in the caption above, as long as the exterior lighting is used for a sport court or sport field.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Council, if you would please vote. Motion passes. Thank you all for your patience on that one. Appreciate it. Item 12, consideration of the nomination of Councilmember Patrick Kelly to the North Central Texas Council of Governments Regional Emergency Preparedness Planning Council, and consideration of the nomination of Mayor Pro Tem Ronnie Cade as alternate representative to the North Central Texas Council of Governments Regional Emergency Preparedness Planning Council. The North Central Texas Council of Governments Regional Emergency Preparedness Planning Council is composed of elected officials from participating cities and counties. Cities are grouped into population brackets in accordance with the current population estimates. Councilmember Patrick Kelly was nominated by City Council on May 1st, 2023 to fill a vacancy and was subsequently appointed as a member to the EPPC. His current term expires in December 2025. City Council will also need to consider an alternate representative fill-in for the representative needed. Mayor Pro Tem Ronnie Cade currently serves as the alternate representative for this committee. Councilmember Patrick Kelly and Mayor Pro Tem Ronnie Cade have expressed the desire to continue to serve. The nomination form needs to be returned to the NCT COG Executive Board no later than November 7th, 2025. It's recommended that the City Council consider the nomination of Councilmember Patrick Kelly to EPPC appointment and the nomination of Mayor Pro Tem Ronnie Cade as an alternative appointment as set forth in the caption above. Council, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to nominate Councilmember Patrick Kelly to the Emergency Preparedness Planning Council and nominate Mayor Pro Tem Ronnie Cade as an alternate appointment as set forth in the caption.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Council, if you please vote. Motion passes. Item I, reports. Reports about items of community interest regarding which no action will be taken. First up, we have Assistant Chief Warrow to report on truck or treat scheduled for October 31st.
Thank you, Mayor. We just wanted to announce that we're going to have a trunk or treat on October 31st in conjunction with the fire department off of Main Street at the Tittle McFadden Public Safety Center. It'll be from 5 p.m. till 8 p.m. We'll have trucks, we'll have cars, we'll have a lot of candy. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Sounds great. Thanks, Chief. All right. Councilmember Troyer, mind if we start with you?
I will be glad to start. I do have some items for the Lewisville Grand Theater coming up during the next couple of weeks. First of all, some performances, the Rocky Horror Picture Show film will be presented by the City of Lewisville on the evening of October 24th. Second, Sacred Sounds presented by Swartang, November 1st. Illuminate Lewisville, presented by the City of Lewisville on the evenings of November 7th through the 9th. This is an outdoor display on the front walls of City Hall, so come on out and see that. Then every Friday night, acoustic jam session presented by the Visual Art League of Lewisville, 6 to 9 on Friday nights. And there are 2 exhibitions going on. First of all, JEMAA exhibition presented by Lewisville Grand Theater. That is going on through October 25th. And then a hallway exhibition presented by the Cross Timbers Artists Guild through November 22nd. And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Kelly?
Thank you, Mayor. A few things here. So first off, Battle of the Badges on Saturday was a success. We had some rain delays a couple times, but overall it's great. Congratulations to the police department. That's two years in a row now. We had our Mighty Mustache contest. That was the first year we did that. Thanks to everybody who participated. Parks actually had a good showing. We had 3 people from the Parks team out there. Chief, what happened to the fire guys? I was expecting those all those magnificent mustaches. I know what happened there. We did have some representation from those guys, though. But next year, rebuilding. Okay, very good. I also wanted to point out and bring up that we went to Lewisville Playhouse on Thursday and saw Young Frankenstein. It was a fantastic play, but bigger than that, we ran into somebody out there who came in from Flower Mound specifically for our downtown area. He went to Bluffalo Hirsch, went over to Gilmore Scoops, and then went over and took in a play. So they made the trek from Flower Mound to come in specifically to experience our downtown area, which made me very proud. I'm sure he's not the only one, but that's the only one I know about from Thursday. Let's see, what else real quick? We've got, don't forget about Little Monsters on Main. That's this Saturday. That'll be a lot of fun. And I think that's all I have, Mayor.
All right. Thanks, sir.
Well, most of my thunder has been stolen at this point, most of it. I was going to mention, we do have a lot going on in Old Town. That's starting this week, Wednesday night, with the homecoming parade. That is hosted by LISD. However, Lewisville has a very big part in it, obviously. So I believe the detours are going to start, what time? 2, 3? Anybody know? Anyway, if you need to get down here, come early. So I was also going to mention that we have art pop-ups in the plaza. We have one on Saturday and then the following 2 Saturdays after that, I believe. We talked about Little Monsters on Main and the Illuminate Lewisville. And then I was just going to again mention that we have Adopt-A-Ween going on, where we have free adoptions for dogs over 20 pounds. There's a super cute one right now called Oreo Cookie that is just adorable. That is our pet of the week. So I would encourage you to go over there and get you a new friend, new family member, and that is it.
Councilmember Cade?
Well, everyone absolutely took everything, and that's fine. But I will say that Saturday is going to be very, very busy. And, downtown areas, unfortunately, Flower Mound really doesn't have a downtown area, so they do need to come to our downtown area. But it is the heartbeat of a community in so many ways. But this Saturday, it's going to have to take some blood pressure medicine, I'm sure, because it is going to be so full of life We have my 45th high school reunion, my husband's 50th high school reunion. All of this stuff is happening with Little Monsters on Main, and Buffalo Hirsch has brought so much vibrancy into the area, and it's just going to be hopping, so do not miss it. And yes, I'm old enough to be 45 years out of high school. Graduated when I was 10.
I don't believe that for a minute. Don't believe it for a minute. I do have one other thing to pile on to the 25th, which is For the Love of Lewisville. If you have not had an opportunity to volunteer for that, I don't know if we've still got those open, but it is a great opportunity to give back to the community. And if you haven't been able to sign up or won't, or if the signups are closed, please put it on your calendar for next year. It's always here in near the end of October, and it's a great way to give back, both just individually or if you have a service organization or a business or faith community that wants to get involved. It's a great way to help your neighbor. A lot of it is programs that help rehabilitate folks' exteriors in their homes, painting, brush pickup. There's just a lot of great, if you're a handyman, handywoman, it's a lot of great work that you can do to help people out to be able to stay in their home and get things up to snuff when they maybe can't do it themselves. So,
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Could you, where is the rally point for that for those who have signed up?
So the rally point for that, or those have signed up, that is up here at college, right?
Bill Weaver.
Oh, it's going to be at Bill Weaver. Okay, so it's at Bill Weaver, the rodeo arena. So go on down. But you can find any information about this. Just Google Love Lewisville on the city website, and it'll pop up for you. And if not, you can probably reach out to Councilmember Green, and she can tell you.
Well, now I'm asking you. I can't remember. That's why I'm asking you.
Do we have any plans for a rain delay, just in case, seeing how they're predicting?
Yeah, I'm waiting to get more details on that, but if everything goes as planned, we'll start 7 a.m. at Bill Weaver Arena. Breakfast starts, and then
we're off to do the work
at 7:30.
Awesome. With that, I have no other actions to be taken on tonight's agenda, so we stand adjourned. 7:42.